Hi, welcome to the Brick Filmers Guild podcast, hosted by us, the Four Monkeys. On this podcast, we had the extreme pleasure of chatting with Christopher Gearhart of Bricks Brought to Life. His YouTube channel was created in 2009 and has almost 8,000 subscribers and over 2.3 million views. He's also the creator of some Blender plugins that directly apply to brick filming. This podcast is sponsored by Brick Stuff. Brick Stuff makes the smallest commercially available lights for Lego models, and their wires are the thinnest available. You can snap Lego bricks, plates, and tiles directly on top of the lights and wires. You can hide them in anything you build, and there's no electronics experience needed. Check out Brick Stuff lights at www.brickstuff.com and see how to take your builds and brick films to the next level. We'd also like to say thank you to Bric-a-Brac, who are one of our brick filming partners. We've had each other's logos with links on each other's homepages for many years, and we really appreciate their support. If you would like to help support our podcast, you can do so by becoming a Patreon supporter. Get podcasts at least a week before anyone else, and other perks only available to our Patreon supporters. So, without further ado, here's our conversation with Christopher. Good morning, Christopher. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
We're really looking forward to getting to know you better and having everybody else who probably already knows you or, like me, didn't realize they knew you from other things already. So it's really been a lot of fun researching all of your things again, seeing them again.
Thanks so much. I'm really excited to be on the podcast.
Yeah, glad to have you.
Definitely. First, we'll just do a quick little congratulations. I know you have a new job in Atlanta, our home, which is very cool. So maybe we'll get to meet up sometime. That would be really nice.
Yeah. Oh, I'd plan to. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, we'll look forward to that.
It's getting to where a few brick filmers are starting to move to town, so it's kind of cool. I think Adam Nyes from Chattanooga, he made the, what was that, what brick film, the Star Wars?
You're asking me.
I know, I'm brain farting here.
But he made another Sean Willis question, right?
Yeah, right. No, he made the, gosh, I am totally losing it.
Yeah. Well,
anyway, it was
he lives here
Han
now.
Solo's buddy.
He lives here now.
Yeah.
And
but anyway, he lives here.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
Enough about other people. Sorry about that.
Exactly.
Anyway, so congratulations about your upcoming move to Atlanta. I look forward to seeing you down here.
Yeah, appreciate it.
So you got into brick filming probably about, 10 years ago?
Yeah. It was about, let's see, 11 or 12 years ago. I think the first video I uploaded to YouTube was in 2009, and I believe I got my, I don't really remember, to be honest, but I believe I got my start 1 or 2 years before that, and then just decided to upload a bunch of them to YouTube at that time.
Okay, so you had a few things had already made, and they were 1 or 2 years old before you put them up in 2009?
Right. I typically claim that I started in 2009, but I'm pretty sure I had made a few things before that.
Okay.
And you mind saying how old you were when you started brick filming?
Sure. Let's see. 2009, that would make me math.
What are you doing?
Fun fact about me, I got a decently high score on advanced math in the ACT and a very low score on the basic math. So, yeah.
That's funny.
Let's see. I would probably be about, I'm not even going to try and do the math, like 13 or 14,
okay.
12, I don't know.
It was actually really impressive. Seeing your first work starting out was really good.
Appreciate that.
Cool. What made you decide to get into doing Lego stop motion and film work?
Well, my dad's a film, he kind of got his start reselling cameras. So he would have cameras around, like he had the Red One back when that was the new the new cool camera to have. So he let me, he was just asking me if I wanted to come down to the basement and play around with Legos. And of course I love Legos. And he brought his camera too. And he's like, check this out. So, you've got the push record on off real quick. Yeah. So I was recording with the Red One back then.
Is that an HD camera?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Let's see, back then I believe it was 2K. I don't really remember, but it was top of the line back then. So I downgraded when I got my own camera for sure.
Well, that's cool that he actually is the one that got you into that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is down what? And you said in the basement?
Right, in my parents' basement.
Yeah.
Probably how most kids got started.
Well, it's dark in the basement, so it's great for brick filming.
Exactly. Yeah, and we had a nice sturdy table down there, so.
So he must have been thrilled that that this all took off, and seeing where you are right now. Proud daddy.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
And did you basically kind of learn on your own, or how did you learn how to make Lego films?
Well, I would have to. I mean, at first I was just experimenting, and I don't even think I had been to YouTube yet, so I didn't really have access to the community. But when I really started to grow is when I started uploading to YouTube and started exploring. You've got Bricks in Motion and a bunch of YouTubers like Fancy Pants. Mind Game, a couple other YouTubers that I was just following from a very young age and really inspired me. And then, I mean, the great honor is of the process is that I now get to work with those people. And I'm still starstruck with all the people I get to work with. But yeah, so I guess I'm getting a little off topic. The point is I'm really thankful to the Lego community and the brick filmers out there that inspired me and continued to release tutorials. Like, I'm a huge fan of Fancy Pants tutorials. Like, the ease in and ease out was a big one. I'm sure a lot of brick filmers would point to that one.
Definitely, yeah. We have that on our website along with yours as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thanks.
Which we'll get to.
Classic.
Yeah, they're great.
Well, I'm sure you noticed that I included what's his name, Steve and is it Bob? Anyways, I included the two figures from the ease in and ease out tutorial in mine.
Oh, did you notice that?
With his permission, of course.
Oh, that's really cool.
Oh, okay.
That's a nice little bit of information.
Oh, okay, cool.
No, we didn't notice that.
I think it's in the beginner's animation tips.
Okay. You were originally called, you called yourself Big Bud Lego? Was there another name before that, or?
No, that was my first one.
Okay. And then I think it was about, 5 years ago, you switched it over to Bricks Brought to Life, which you kept the letters, which I think was great. I think it's a better name. I'm not a fan of using Lego in a name.
Yeah, neither am I. I mean, my mom was still, this is quite the process, switching over the name, like, wrote out a bunch of ideas, and I definitely wanted to keep the BBL, and at some point, Bricks Brought to Life, or I think at first it was Bringing Bricks to Life, and it just was so perfect, even though it still includes bricks, so it does limit me a bit, but.
It's one of the better names that has bricks in it, so I wouldn't complain about that.
And plus, it's completely appropriate, so it says exactly what it does, so you deliver there, for sure.
Did you make your logo?
Yes, I did.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
Do all my graphic design and all that, and usually After Effects. Even still images, I'll do in After Effects.
You do? Oh, wow, that's interesting. Okay. Cool. I believe you probably, obviously, since you're moving down to Atlanta, you've completed university.
Yes.
Where'd you go to school?
Just recently, I went to Taylor University. It's a small private Christian school. Really, really great program. I was in the computer science department. I mean, I'll just plug them for a minute. It's just excellent program. Couldn't have asked for better. The professors specifically are the big highlight for me.
Cool.
Yeah, no, that's how it should be, so that's great.
So you took a lot of computer classes there. Did you take any film courses?
Yeah, I took a few film courses. So I was in the digital media program, so it had me in the computer science department, I would say 60 to 70% of the time. It's a liberal arts school, so I would take a bunch of gen eds. And then I also had some film classes where I produced a few live action shorts, and then like an audio production class, a couple graphic design and like computer animation courses.
Cool.
Wow, so this has all obviously been very helpful with your videos.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You've got this film background, but you've got a real heavy computer science background. So let's kind of move into something called, was it called Bricker? It's it's a plugin for Blender that did you create, or you were part of the creation of it?
Right. That was inspired by my advisor at school. Because there used to be this program. I don't remember the name. Maybe that's a good idea. Don't want to send people to my competitors. But yeah, so there was this plugin that worked separate from the Blender interface. And so I would have to create my models in there and then import them into Blender. They typically were pretty expensive on my computer's hardware. So eventually I decided to make this plugin well, I guess I should describe it. It turns like 3D objects in the computer into 3D Lego simulations or models. And this can be used for, like if you're a Lego master builder, you might want to pull a 3D model of, for example, Yoshi into the computer and then turn it into a structurally sound Lego model that you can print out instructions for. Or for a Lego animator like me, I uploaded recently, about a year ago, a fireplace animation, and it's basically a voxelized fireplace, but it is made to look like Lego. And that's something my plugin can do, is convert simulations like smoke, fire, cloth into Lego simulations. Looks pretty sweet.
Yeah, it definitely does, and definitely that fireplace, beautiful and definitely relaxing.
Yeah, I haven't played with Blender probably for a good 6-7 years, and I remember having to use what was it, Lego Digital Designer or something with LeoCAD. I don't remember, but somehow I was able to cram the models into Blender, but it was such a pain in the butt. It seems like your software would definitely assist in that, or your add-on.
And does such a great job. I mean, it really does look like Lego bricks. It's amazing. We'll make sure that everybody has the links, because it's really a beautiful program.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate it. So part of the process is like you've got to make the model and have all the well, I'm going to use some terminology that people probably won't understand, but you got to make the topology of the meshes look exactly like a Lego brick. So basically it's got the Lego shape. But then the second part of the process, and this is another add-on that I have in addition to Bricker, is creating that ABS plastic look with like fingerprints and scratches, kind of like you see on the Lego movies. Just adding those kinds of details to your renders can really sell it. And I take it as a huge compliment if someone comments on my videos, was this CG or stop motion?
Yeah, that's gonna come up.
We'll bring that back up later.
But just curious, how long? I mean, is this really time consuming? How long did it take you to do the fireplace one?
Sure. Absolutely. I would say I've put in a full, I'd say upwards of 2,000 hours into Bricker.
Wow.
Just in the coding and development side of things.
Okay.
It's been a pretty intense process, but I absolutely love it. I'll just code late into the night. Sometimes I'll just be sitting on my couch coding, and then I'll see the sun come up and not realize it was nighttime a while ago. Yeah, but so that was the development of the program that generated the fireplace. But then in terms of the creative aspect of making the fireplace look good and look relaxing and warm, and then getting the render to look realistic like Lego bricks, I think I spent about a month and a half working on that. And I would say this was during school, but I would say I put in 30 hours a week, I'd say, during that month. And then rendering itself is quite the headache. I don't know how much you know about CG, but the rendering process, especially for something that detailed and that, like I have details like subsurface scattering, which is when light casts through, like, say, for example, your ear, when you have, or your finger, if you hold it up to a light behind your finger, you'll see red kind of coming through your finger.
Right.
That effect will come through on the Lego bricks as well, and that's pretty expensive in terms of render times. And rendering is just turning a 3D representation of something into a 2D image. It's like painting the pixels and figuring out where the light is cast.
Now, do you have a preference doing that over the stop motion itself, or like them both just for different reasons?
I definitely like both. I've like the Lego Ninjago video that I released recently is completely stop motion. I don't think I touched that with Blender. And I just love that. I mean, I'm really proud of it, and it is very time consuming though. Like that opening shot that lasts about maybe half a second. I spent about 8 hours animating plus all the setup and storyboarding time. So
wow,
it is a time-consuming process, and actually, I would say CG is even more time-consuming. But somehow, I guess I just don't feel quite as lonely doing CG.
And where can they find your plugins?
Yeah, if you go to the Blender Market, so it's blendermarket.com / well, let me just give me a moment. I'm going to make sure I get this right.
and we'll make sure, like I said,
and this will be in the yeah.
Right, so everybody will have access to all of your links to get to all of your work and see your videos.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I sell it on the Blender Market. There's actually a link on Bricks in Motion now, awesome. Under the store link. Blendermarket.com / creators / bricks brought to life, no spaces or
excellent
dashes.
Awesome. We'll get that on there.
I've got some names listed down as some clients you've done some, I guess, commission work or work for. You have the Lego Group written down, something called 815 Studios, and CG Cookie.
Right.
Can you tell us any about those projects?
Sure. So the Lego Group, that was 2012, I believe. And that was just a Tongo project to create a documentary for what Lego means to you. It's still up on the Lego channel, and I believe it's in some of my playlists on my channel. But I just got to work with. So I was a star of the film because my dad was filming for some of it, and then I got to work with Dave and John Zandigar, who were master builders at the time. They built an astronaut, a Lego astronaut that's sitting in NASA. So it was a pretty great honor to get to meet them and film with them. And they're absolutely phenomenal.
And that was
guys,
live action, right?
Yes, this is live action.
Okay.
And they're huge supporters of the brick filming community as well. So that was pretty cool.
Where was this filmed?
This was all in Chicago. I got to visit them right at their house, actually.
Oh, cool.
Wow, nice.
And you also had 815 Studios and CG Cookie?
Yes. Okay. So 815 Studios, I was just creating a few graphics for a documentary that's for the Legoland Dubai grand opening. Miniland Dubai grand opening. So I used the equivalent of Bricker, although Bricker didn't exist at the time, to create like an animation of the logo basically building up out of Legos in CG.
Oh, excellent.
So that was a fun project. That is definitely an inspiration for Bricker because of how long that took and how frustrating certain parts of that workflow was. And then, let's see, what was the other one you mentioned?
CG Cookie.
Right, okay. CG Cookie is a Blender company, and they do tutorials. They do a bunch of development. They run the Blender Market, actually. And it's been, my advisor at school has done a lot of work with them, and that's how I got connected. And they basically hired me at some point as an intern to create the Lego tutorial series that you can see on my channel. But it ended up not being exactly what I think they were looking for, a more in-depth exploration and for someone who's never heard of maybe Lego animation before. So it wasn't really what they were looking for, so I got to upload it to my channel.
Nice.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
But then the next year I actually came on as a developer, and I worked on a plugin for Blender called Rotopaflow. Oh. So that was a lot of fun as well, but it has nothing to do with Lego.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't matter. It all still adds to your credits, and the longer the what do you call it, the resume, the better.
Yeah,
right.
Makes me tempted to want to put Blender back on a computer and play around with it again.
Oh, you should. And they're just coming out with a new, incredibly new redesign of the interface, and they've got a new render engine. So this is a great time to get in on it. It's got a whole new interface that's much more beginner friendly.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, it was a little tricky, especially with no instructions and
nobody to help.
Nobody to help me.
No kidding. Blender's infamous for that.
Yeah. You created a group of, brought together a group of animators called the Animators Collective, and created a couple of projects.
Group of brilliant animators, really.
Pretty much
Absolutely.
Pretty much all the stars in the community.
Right.
How did that come to be?
Well, I'm a Lego brick filming fan, so basically everyone I reached out to, I was just a a fan from a very young age. So I just told him, hey, love your work. Been following you for a while. You guys are, like you said, stars in the community. And I just think it would be really cool to bring together a bunch of these people that make really incredible work and see what we can do together if we put all our heads together. And yeah, a lot of them, a couple people didn't have time or weren't interested, but I'd say 75 to 80% of the people I reached out to were interested, and really, really phenomenal people, both to work with and just really great personalities. And it was a lot of fun to get to know them as well as do some really awesome work with them.
Did you get to meet any of them in person or just over telephone or Skyping?
Sadly, not in person yet, although we've talked about it, a couple of us, and I just need to make the trip out there.
Yeah.
Out there, I guess, to California, where most of them live.
Right.
90% in California.
Yeah.
I think
Spencer.
Spencer's in New York, and
Yep.
everybody else is out in California.
Yep, exactly.
Cool.
Is Kevin too?
Yeah, he's in
I didn't know he
LA.
was in
Yeah.
Okay, I forgot.
Yep.
Typical.
So you guys, you've done 2 projects? Is that correct?
Yes. So I headed up I organized the team, and then we came up with the Rogue One project. But then James Moore kind of took the lead on the Guardians of the Galaxy project.
Okay.
My only role in that one was I created the title sequence. I don't really remember, but I think I just created the few title sequences in Blender.
Okay. Did you animate any on the Rogue One?
No. Everyone else was working on the animation, and I would take it and do all the VFX and compositing and color correction and all that.
So all the crazy compositing was done by you?
Yes.
Okay.
No. Let's see. One or two shots were done by Chris Thiorin. He did the compositing on. Let's see, I'm blanking on which one he did.
Death Star, maybe?
Yes. Although yeah. He did the larger shot of the Death Star.
Okay.
Before the Star Destroyer comes on.
Mm-hmm. Well, there was some incredible compositing in there. You've got some behind the scenes of those, or I don't remember which channel those are on. Those are spread out between all the Animators Collective channels, but the behind the scenes for those videos were great.
Thanks. Yeah, I encouraged everyone to upload behind the scenes if they wanted, and I remember Zach uploaded some really great behind the scenes, and I believe James and Tommy did as well.
Oh, cool. Have you had the opportunity to meet any other brick filmers in person or other?
Well, I met Dave Pickett and David Pagano at Brick World in Chicago, and that was a thrill. Got to talk to them, and I bought their book, got it signed, and then I got their contact information and reached out to each of them, and I actually got to go visit Dave Pagano at his studio this summer, which was absolutely a blast. He's a really phenomenal guy. Really inspiring, all the stuff he's done in the past, and like his perspective on the community was really cool to hear, and we got to animate together, and that was really fun.
Yeah, we watched that. That was his
Godzilla one.
Yeah, what does he call it? Because we do have that. We watched that, and I was like,
how do you
we animate
right,
that?
how do we
animate that? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was awesome. You guys did such a great job, and you're so comfortable and natural on camera. That to me is a talent. We don't have that. But you're not shy at all. I mean, you're just very comfortable. It was fun to watch both of you. You obviously worked well together, and yeah, we've met David as well. A super, super nice guy. Obviously a brilliant animator. And yeah, that was really cool to watch you guys work together.
Thanks. Yeah, he's very down to earth and so much fun to work with. I'd give him all the credit for that.
And he happened to mention that was the longest episode that he had done so far. So how long did it take you guys to animate that?
I think we were in the studio for 4 or 5 hours. We took a pretty long lunch break. But yeah, it was so fun. I think the time just flew by.
So you were pretty much getting about a second done an hour.
Yeah, I think about a second an hour. I mean, I tend to go a bit overboard when I'm planning Lego animations, and then I get to actually working on the animation and realize just how much I've committed to. But he was along for the ride and had some great ideas too. So
doesn't he share his studio with Sean Kenny? Is that his name?
Yes, he does.
Did you get to meet him?
Unfortunately, no, but I got to meet his team, and they're really great people.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, I'm hoping I'll go back someday and meet Sean and get to work with Dave again.
Yeah. Let's see. Back in 2012, you made a video for a contest from Oyo Sports. I think they were sports toys then. And you won the contest with a brick film called "If I Only Had Elbows and Knees," which was really good.
It was really good. You totally deserved to win
there. Congratulations on that. Did you get any job offers from Oyo after you made that video?
Well, thank you. No, I didn't. I don't think I ever heard from them again, but I really enjoyed the competition.
It's a fun competition. I'm surprised they actually reached out to us. I guess ours, we had one that made it on the news coverage in Atlanta, on the sports coverage, like at 10:30 at night one night.
Yeah, so it went viral and got on all of our local sports things. Because I
surprised they didn't reach out to you guys.
I promoted the beep out of that.
Yeah. I got 2 years of work out of them, but But they were fun to work with, and we made a ton of videos.
Well, that's awesome. I've seen a lot of them. They're really, really great.
Yeah, some are better than others, and it's they're not as easy to animate as Lego, but they got some different points that will what's it called, points of articulation, but they're fun to animate, and I have somewhat of a background of knowing sports, so it was helpful on that level, but
right.
I don't think they picked the best animator to go and work for them, but I think my sports knowledge is helpful.
And because you did it so often, you definitely know your Oyo figures, so worked out well. So I guess we have to thank you for that.
Cool. Your first big production you worked on a long time ago, I think it's called The Holocron Thief.
Yeah.
This is one of your first ones, but it was obviously one you definitely went for it on. There's just tons of green screening in there, which you've definitely gotten better at. But I got to give you credit for the work you put into that first one, the first big one there.
Thanks. Yeah, that was so fun. I back then, I mean, still I think, but I was very, very imaginative, and Lego, like I'm sure I'm sure you know, Lego just allows you to go wherever you want to go with your sets and with your script. So that was just so much fun.
Definitely. And it's, whenever we are going to interview somebody the day before, that's when I always sit down with Dave, even though he's already watched all of them. And then I'll watch them again just to refresh my memory. We always start with the oldest one. So, like I said, even though, even your first ones were really great, considering that was the first time you animated and how young you were. And then it seemed like you took a 3-year break, or just didn't upload anything. Did you take a break from stop motion animation?
Yeah, which year was that? I'm sorry.
It was like maybe 13 to 16. You seemed like there was not a lot of stuff on your channel.
Okay. What did I upload right after that? I should know this. I'm sorry.
You would have had, I'm not sure what you uploaded right after it, but eventually you came out with the Lego Star Wars: The Old Republic, which is just incredible. And then your Underworld one, which obviously you put just tons of work into also. And
it was nice to see the progressions. Like we're watching, he's like, "Oh, you're good considering they're his first ones." And then as we're watching, it's like, "Oh, he's getting better now." Oh, yeah, it's like, "Oh, he's on it now."
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, okay. I just looked it up. So I think during that 3-year period, I was just working on the Underworld. I was working on. Sorry, I was working on I was working on a really massive, way too massive project called Reminiscences of the Past with a friend of mine. And you can see some of the clips in my Coming Soon to Bricks Brought to Life video. Unfortunately, it wasn't coming soon because I still haven't released it. But I was working on a Lord of the Rings project. I was working on an Aquaman type animation that never really got off the ground. So I think I was working that whole time. I just didn't have anything to show for it. And
Right.
then the Underworld was the first one that I had to show for it, and I spent a solid 2 years on that one. So.
Well, that was one of the ones that when we were watching it, I actually said to Dave, like, is that CGI? That was exactly what you had said before came into play with me watching that, because I didn't know if it was or not.
Well, thank you.
So that was amazing.
Yeah, and I think it was right about that time. There was a Star Wars podcast, I think called the Expanded Fandom Verse.
Oh no!
But you were a guest on. No, you were a wonderful guest. It was actually a really good podcast. I listened to most of it again this morning. Yeah, that was. It's kind of about when I kind of got attention. I've started paying attention to what you were doing, and I think you reached out and mentioned you had your Underworld video. You personally reached out to me, and I looked at it. I was like, "Holy cow, this is good." That's definitely one of my favorites from back then during that era.
Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm. You've done a few Rebrick competition projects.
Mm-hmm.
One you had an incredible success with the Don't Forget Your Popsicle.
Which is my favorite.
Yeah.
My favorite. I love that.
One of the best 30-second Brick films there's
Right.
out. If I'm not incorrect, that did win the major category in the Rebrick contest.
Yes, it did. It's in the scene in the Lego movie, or the Lego Ninjago movie, as Lloyd is getting on the school bus. It's on the TVs in the background. It's quite the honor.
Wow.
Oh, sweet. So you made the movie. Awesome.
Oh, that's so deserved to be there. I love, obviously, the selfie scene is my favorite. It's amazing. And I think you said in your behind the scenes that you had one of the shots took 9 hours just to get 1 second of video.
Mm-hmm.
Which shot was that?
That's the very first one, which I guess I understand why I did this, because it had to be 30 seconds, but I didn't know if I planned that very well, because as soon as you've got the video playing and you're like all settled in, the scene's already over. I mean, it's the very first shot, so oh well.
The behind the scenes video on that is amazing, and everybody should watch that. I mean, along with the video, obviously, but you give such great tips and insight on how to get all of those things done. It was really impressive.
Well, I like the technique you had for when, I guess, the ninja hood was put on, but you used just a regular, I think, green hat before it went to the full hood. Sold that animation there, and also the point where he streaks off and he kind of has almost like a flash type streaking behind him.
Right.
I used that technique for a video last summer, but it was the Flash doing it, but it was the same exact technique. And it's neat you just add a few little extra bricks in, and your eye, it's only there for a second, or not a second, a 15th of a second or a 24th of a second, but it still leaves the impression that there's motion blur.
Right. Yeah, that's just one of the many reasons I adore the Lego movies, is they've brought so many unique tricks to the Lego animation community. And that's one of the things I got from the Lego movies, is I was watching the Ninjago trailer. They did all their motion blurs with Lego bricks, and yeah, they would switch between Lego brick types as in fact, when Lloyd rips off his hood in the Lego Ninjago movie trailer, they do the same trick. So I kind of stole it from them.
Yeah, Dave kept mentioning, your motion blur a lot. That's the first time I've actually heard you mention that about anything. So he was very impressed.
And another thing I liked about it is certain things had a certain weight. When the mech's walking, you were making sure that the weight was put on the correct leg, and that sold that very well. And the other thing I liked is when the ice cream van's taking off. It's even on two wheels at one point. It has this. The way it's animated, just going, it's probably only about 3 inches on your animation table, but it just sells the weight of the vehicle moving. I really like that part too.
Thanks. Yeah, that was a lot of fun, and that was actually, I did that after I'd filmed the tutorial series. So all the research I had done for that, I kind of had the benefit of knowing all that going into the Don't Forget the Popsicle.
Excellent. And has that won any other contest outside of Rebrick?
To be honest, I don't remember, but I don't believe so. Let me look real quick.
I've got the list here. It's one of these here, but it's buried in there. That might have been just with Rebrick. You did win Best Animation on last year's Brick Filmers Guild Festival, which
yes, right, yeah, that was great.
For last year was quite the accomplishment because Maxime
pretty much swept everything
last year, and for anybody with Sheep. So for anybody winning anything, but there were only 3 winners of the categories last year: Maxime, you, and Zach. With Macias, he did. That was for voice acting, but so that one's definitely to break through last year was quite the feat.
Thanks. And by the way, Sheep is an amazing brick film. Shout out to him and to Zach. I mean, I guess I'm jumping forward a year, but The Cleaners is really phenomenal.
Cleaners was
it won a few.
It was one of the winners this year. It wasn't a clean sweep like last year or near clean sweep.
Right.
Clean sheet, yeah. But they actually Nate and Zach definitely put together one of my favorite all-time brick films. You made another rebrick.
Wait, hold on. I'm going to go back to the popsicle for a second because curious if you did like what David Pagano did when you guys were animating the gorilla. Do you kind of like walk yourself in a way to try to emulate yourself when animating like he was doing?
Oh, more than I care to share. Yes, I'm mimicking every action, and I probably look ridiculous.
Well, but that's the beauty of stop motion. Nobody sees you.
Exactly.
But it's a good trick, and it's good to know. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a studio space in the back of, in one of the classrooms at my university. I got the idea from Thomas Evans, actually, in one of his behind the scenes. He mentioned that he got a studio space from his department. So I wrote a proposal to mine, and they gave me a studio space, so I got to use basically 2 rooms all to myself, and never had a disruption unless one of my advisors or one of my professors was walking in. They might have caught me doing some really strange actions as I was animating.
That's funny.
Lumbering around like a gorilla or something.
That's awesome. No, I'm sure they love that. It's very creative.
Yeah, they've had some really great input as well. One of the coolest things I learned from them is learning efficiency with animation. So I've got a film that I've been working on for 5 or 6 years on and off. It's a Lord of the Rings animation, and at some point there's going to be this really fantastic like waterfall animation, or at least it's fantastic in my head. I haven't done it yet, but
it will be fantastic.
Well, thanks. Basically, he gave me the idea of modulating out the waterfall, so that because I'm going to animate it in stop motion, the waterfall as it falls down the mountain. Oh, wow. And so I built it in little sections, and I built each little section like 10 to 20 different variations, and then I'll just replace each one as it goes. So that was a really cool tip from my professors.
Well, I look forward to seeing that behind the scenes.
Thanks.
And the video.
And the video, yeah, of course. And I've marked down 3 that you're working on, and we'll crawl back into that in a little bit. But back to the rebrick, there was another one you did, and I absolutely loved it. I think you worked with Kevin on it. Shark Bait. Can you tell us about that project?
Sure. Well, always an honor to work with Kevin. He's a really talented guy. He did all the animation. He came up with the story. Really clever little animation, and kind of inspired some of the style behind Don't Forget the Popsicle. And then he sent it over to me, and then I would do a lot of the VFX, like the sharks swimming around in the water effects and breaking the glass, the tanks behind the tanks behind the characters. So that was a really fun collaboration project, and as I'm sure you're going to bring up, unfortunately got disqualified. But
which was really sad because that deserved to win more than anything. It was perfect in every way.
Beautiful. What was it disqualified for?
Yeah. So I pulled from a pretty big audio library on my computer, and most of it is public domain. But when I received the email that we were being considered as winners, I went back through because they asked me to provide information about all the sound effects I'd used, and I had intended to use all public domain, but I found a sound effect or two that weren't public domain. They were still royalty free, but I just emailed them and I let them know, hey, 2 of the sound effects I used, it was like a really small sound effects that really didn't really show through, but anyways, I just let them know in complete honesty that 2 of the sound effects were royalty free and not public domain, and unfortunately got disqualified.
Well, I'm surprised though. Royalty free usually means
pretty gray area.
You can use it.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, it was strange to me. I mean, I felt the worst because Kevin had put all that work into it, and then my screw up meant he got disqualified as well. But.
Yeah, I think Digital Wizards had a really good entry as well. I think Sean Willits animated it, and it was awesome too. And I think maybe something similar happened there too, because it should have been, those 2 should have been in the finals. I think they have like 3 or 4 winners. Those 2 should have been the winners. But
thanks, I appreciate it. And yeah, his was excellent as well.
Yeah. You've done some like we did mention, you'd had the behind the scenes. You worked with David Pagano. One of the things that I thought was cool, you used your cell phone as a light source.
That was a great tip.
Have you used that in any other that tip? Any other animations?
I'm sure I have. I mean, I used it there because we were just kind of throwing stuff together, and we weren't too concerned about, how things were coming together from a meticulous, I don't know. I'm usually a little bit more detail oriented than I was when we were animating that. It was more of a
fun thing.
Yeah, fun thing. But so no, I don't think I've used my iPhone light, but it worked certainly, and there was no flicker or anything like that. I guess I would have expected there to be.
Okay.
So that was the first time that you've actually animated with somebody else, right?
Right.
That was
and I love it.
Yeah, that must have been amazing. That was a fun experience.
Got to animate with the 2018 Brick Filmers Guild Brick Filmer of the Year. He won this last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a brilliant brick filmer. Just obviously all just in his own right. So.
Right. Absolutely.
He does a lot for the community as well.
You've made some little a couple of videos that are up on your channel of how to build a Lego Christmas tree,
which are adorable.
And the only reason I'm bringing it up because you actually did them in stop motion, which just made them interesting to watch instead of just here's my mock. So
yeah, they're fun. That's the thing. You don't have a lot of super long videos, and they're all just really fun to watch.
Yeah.
To have a little tutorial like that, how to build and do it in stop motion is just cute. So it was really fun to watch.
Well, thanks.
And informative.
Yeah, I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot because I put so much work into really, really short videos, and then YouTube's changed their algorithms to favor longer videos.
Really?
So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's based on watch time now. So I put a lot of work into a 30-second video, and then YouTube just doesn't really care. But I'm still proud of it.
Guess that's good information to know.
Yeah, I've kind of given up on trying to be ahead of the YouTube curve. I'm just trying to make stuff that I have fun doing. Occasionally, the only thing we get real video views on are the occasional sports video we still make, that have Oyo figures, but we don't get a lot of views. We don't make long
videos anyway, so ain't nobody got time for that.
But on to what is a really an impressive series of videos you've made. You made these tutorials. You have 4 of them.
They're incredibly well done. They're very informative. Definitely worth watching. Any novice or professional. Just great tips. Like I said, you're very comfortable on camera, so you're fun to watch. You have a great personality, and really enjoyed watching those. They're very helpful.
Thank you. Yeah, my goal was, like I said, I did this actually for CG Cookie, but my goal was to cover the basics from someone that's never touched, honestly, Lego bricks, all the way through to hopefully some of my peers or even people that are more advanced than I am, things that they could learn as well.
And I believe that series of videos won a few competitions think something called IASB, statewide competition. I'm assuming that's Indiana something or another.
Right.
And then
that was.
And then maybe something called the Envision Film Festival. I might be on the wrong video there, but.
You know what? I actually think that the tutorial series won in the BEA Festival of Media and Arts in the instructional and educational category, and then the IASB statewide competition and the Envision Film Festival were both other films. I believe that was Don't Forget the Popsicle.
Okay.
Let's see, and then ISB. Let's see. That one was Don't Forget the Popsicle as well.
Okay. See, I won a few things there.
Yeah, no, deserving.
Yeah, it was one of the best videos of that year. So,
well, like I said, it's on our site of links for people because podcasts are incredibly. I remember when Dave, and probably I don't know if you still do, but when you were first animating, you watched so many YouTube tutorials. They're so helpful. I still recommend that people do that. So we like to have a nice list of tutorials for people to go to on our site, and yours are definitely up there. So
thank you. Yeah, you can always learn. I'm always looking for tutorials that people are releasing, and behind the scenes you can always learn something.
Behind the scenes are awesome. I love seeing that. It's neat to see how a professional does a lot of these things. You're like, oh wow, that's how I did that. And it's just cool, even from somebody who doesn't animate, such as myself. It's really neat to see how you do that. So I love those things. I think they're great.
Are you currently working on any brick films? I think you mentioned The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, so quote unquote currently working on the Lord of the Rings video that I mentioned. It's kind of like a how it should have ended type animation. And then I've got in the works, in the early stages of production, I've got the Ultimate Lego Animation Guide Season 2, where I'm hoping to dive into some of the more post-production heavy effects, like some of the bricker stuff that I've done, possibly some compositing and visual effects. And then also, at some point, I've got to finish up this Reminiscences of the Past project. And I have a goal on Patreon that if I think it's 10 Patreon supporters, if I reach that, I'm going to release the opening battle sequence, which is probably the part of the project I'm the most fond of. But then I say quote unquote working on them because at the moment I'm kind of working on this transition from college to living in Atlanta. But then once I get moved in, I believe I'll start up on those again.
Cool. Okay. Something I noticed on one of the whatever it was behind the scenes, or it might have been the animation guide, is that when you have to take the arm out so that you can make it move in different ways, and of course I don't know what you guys call these technically.
Out of socket animation,
right? That. But I noticed you actually rolled it up almost like a hot dog and stuck it in the socket, whereas like Dave and I've noticed other people, they just kind of put a blob there and then stick the thing there. So I actually found that very interesting that you do that.
Right.
It might work better that way.
There's that post or like a solid block of plastic inside the torso that if you can get the sticky tack all the way back there, it'll support the arm a bit more, so you don't have that blob outside that you can actually see.
Right. See, I thought that was great, and I noticed that.
Do you ever have to paint out any of the sticky, or are you pretty good about hiding it from the camera?
I used to paint it out a lot. Like I know I did a lot of painting out of sticky tack on the lightsaber battle. And I'm blanking on the name again. The Old Republic. On the Old Republic, I did a lot of that, and then I also did a lot of masking there for especially when she breaks through the wall.
Oh, I actually wrote a note saying that was one of my favorite parts when the person broke through the wall, thrown through the wall.
That was a lot of work. That was back when I was using GIMP frame by frame.
Oh.
So I would import the frame. I would paint out all the bricks, and then I would paint on the lightsaber. And then import the next frame and do the same thing and just hope that they matched up. Yeah. And if they didn't, I would redo it. But
that's painful enough in After Effects, but doing it outside of that, ugh. No thank you.
It's gotten so much faster in After Effects. It's still painful, but nothing like GIMP. That was rough.
Do you have a process of making a film? Do you do scripting, storyboarding, any of that stuff?
Well, way back when, in the times of the Old Republic or Lego Agents or the Holocron Thief, I would basically just say, I want this to be a Star Wars themed video. And I would build a set, and I would start filming, and then I would let the script write itself as I went, which is so much fun. And I really still try to do that if I can, because I just love coming up with it as I go. Like the Old Republic was originally just going to be, I think, a lightsaber battle in that hallway. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, well, and then after she jumps over him, I was like, well, it just kind of seems like he should force throw her. So I threw her through a wall, and then they had this whole other sequence. And then with Lego Agents, same idea. I mean, I had a few shots in my head, like especially that shot in Lego Agents where the ninja jumps over the flying dagger in slow motion. Mm-hmm. That I had that vision in my mind, and I guess I was just kind of working up to that point as I went.
The payoff moment.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, just curious, I'm going to pop in with something else, but for voicing, you know, that since your dad got you into this, has he voiced in some of your videos, or who do you usually get to voice?
Yeah, well, he definitely did most of the voices when I was younger, and then I would have some friends from school. And then more recently, I've been contacting, like Kevin did some of the voices for Don't Forget the Popsicle and Shark Bait.
Zach too in one of them.
Yep. So I've been contacting some people that do more. And by the way, I'd love to have you guys voice at some point.
Anytime.
Makes sense.
Yeah. We're not good, but we're happy to help.
Give us a phonetics guide to any like Star Wars name. So.
Sure.
Yeah, we had to say Mandalorian the other day, which is one I did know, so that wasn't too bad. But we'll be happy to. We'd be happy to lend our voices to anything you make. Where do you get your Lego collection? Where do you acquire it?
Mostly garage sales. And then, here. I mean, for specific projects, I'll order off Bricklink, but mostly it's just come from bulk orders or bulk Lego bins that I find at garage sales.
I love garage sales, especially, you know, you don't very often find Lego there, but when you do, it's like, yes.
Yeah,
we score.
We recently found a whole bunch of space stuff from the early 80s. Oh, we scored so good on that.
Big time, yeah.
Big time.
You know, same thing for me this summer, or maybe it was last summer. I found a bunch of the old space sets, like the Benny the Spaceman classic Legoland set with the ship with 3 different points. Mm-hmm. I don't remember what it's called, but I found that one. It's I don't know if you've seen the Toys That Made Us documentary on Netflix.
I did watch that.
But that spaceship is featured in there.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Anyways, as like one of the classic sets that's really valuable now, and I found it at a garage sale.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I had one, and I don't remember which space set it was. So my mom and dad didn't seem to keep those, so I did not inherit them.
Oh no!
So they owe us money for that.
Yeah, right. No, but we've got a good collection. Did you get a whole bunch of good swag from the Rebrick? Did they send you any cool Lego?
Yeah, yeah, they did. They sent me the big Ninjago like city block.
Oh, yeah, that thing's pretty cool.
Absolutely amazing. And then they sent me basically the whole lineup that they had at the moment of the Lego Ninjago movie sets.
Oh, nice.
And then I got the signed figures from Justin Theroux and Dave Franco. That was pretty great.
Wow, that is really cool.
Yeah, those are pretty awesome.
They have like the nicest buildings. The Ninjago, they just have beautiful sets.
They do. You know, I was at the Lego store and the Lego movie. I saw it yesterday, but I was at the Lego store yesterday, and they had out for display both the city block set, and then they also had the I need to remember these names, but the Lego Ninjago movie set where they there's the platform over the water.
You did get some good swag from that, so that's awesome. I know when we did, was it Rebrick? What, I don't know. No, it was a Tongle thing. They sent us a ton of city stuff. So I got like the big double propeller helicopter or whatever, and the police headquarters, and so yeah, when you get on a project that's got Lego behind it, you'll end up getting some good stuff.
Yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, that's a huge perk. It's very nice.
Yeah, exactly. I think some of the stuff we got, I think we turned in at the Lego store for what it was, a cash back on purchases. So we We traded no, I think we got
Really? Are we supposed to say that?
I don't know. But we traded in like a huge Star Destroyer.
Well, one that we knew that we weren't going to use for something that we would use. So.
Right.
But just,
Still Lego. I mean, it was just trading Lego for Lego.
Yeah.
So.
Sure.
So that was all good. Do you listen to music or podcast or TV while you animate? Or do your work on your rendering?
Mm-hmm. When I'm rendering, typically silence, although sometimes I'll listen to music. Well, rendering specifically, I don't have to be there for, but usually throughout the CG process, it's pretty much silence. But then while I'm animating, I'll typically pull up a podcast, or every once in a while I'll explore a new music genre. That's a lot of fun. Like last time I was animating over the Ninjago project, I got really into K-pop, and then I happened to be going. I was offered to go over to South Korea later that year, so it ended up being a nice little study up on my South Korean culture, and I absolutely love it.
Wow, that sounds like an exciting trip.
Was that trip and did it have any Lego involvement or just other type stuff?
It did, actually. My school sent me to advertise basically for the computer science department, and I just gave talks on Bricker, the Lego animation plugin that I made at different universities and high schools.
How long were you there for?
About a week over spring break.
Wow, that is amazing. Well, you've done some awesome traveling.
Yeah, I just had to list it out recently, and I've been a lot of places recently.
Is that the only out-of-country place, or have you been other places?
No, I've been, South Korea, France, Italy, London, Mexico, Monaco, Greece, a couple others, all in the past 2 years or so.
Wow, that is so impressive. That is great. I think
France has to be. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I'm blown away. That's amazing.
Yeah, France has to be the best experience. My dad was in the Cannes Film Festival, so we just got to hang out there for two or 3 weeks and just kind of get acquainted with the French culture. And unfortunately, I didn't speak enough French to be widely accepted there, but I was getting there.
Yeah, I think if you're trying, that's at least a start. It's the folks
at least a start.
The folks that don't try.
It gets you further in places like South Korea. I think France is not huge fans of English as a language, at least there. But there was plenty of very nice.
I'm sure at the festival, though, there had to be a lot of, because you have a lot of people from America going there to the Cannes Film Festival.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's so exciting, though, and you got to share that with your dad. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was.
So I was on the Brick Films wiki doing my research for this, and there was one video of yours, I think, that I did not get access to. It was a Coldplay video.
Oh, wow, you did your homework.
I did my homework, but it's not on there. Is there any story behind that?
Yeah, I worked on that for quite a while. I made a music video to Every Teardrop is a Waterfall.
Mm-hmm.
And it got copyright infringement right after I uploaded it, so I had to take it down. I believe it's still on Vimeo. Let me check real quick.
It is, but it's password protected.
Oh, is it? Well, maybe I'll take that off.
There you go.
Yeah, please. I'd love to see it.
Because I know. Was it Dylan Woodley? He made one, and it was "Want to Rule the World" or whatever.
Right.
I think isn't that Coldplay? I don't remember. But it was taken down. But he somehow got it back up. Maybe the band was like, it's cool.
Huh.
So
might have gotten permission.
Are you talking about the?
Am I mixing my bands up?
Yeah,
I think you're mixing your bands up.
Maybe that's why this one's didn't get through. But what was that one?
Cosmic People, I believe.
No, that was afterwards. He did one before that. It was Wants to Rule the World or whatever. I can't remember the name of the song.
Viva La Vida.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm, that song. That's Coldplay. That's Coldplay.
Close.
That's Coldplay, right?
It is.
Okay,
Coldplay.
so he had one, and it got up there. It was taken down, and then I thought the band let him have it back up. I don't know. But,
maybe I'll look into that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not super proud of this one anymore, but
it was 5 7 years ago. So
Right.
It seems like if you did all that work, I'd love to see it. So I don't know, but you could always put some other music behind it. And sometimes if you go through YouTube, no, I know, but still, you like to show off your work.
I'm gonna leave the password up for this video, but for anyone listening to this podcast, the password is Coldplay with a capital C.
Oh. Awesome!
So, that'll work. Go watch it.
If you, just have to dig around and find your Vimeo site. In fact, we'll probably go ahead and if it's our video, we'll put your link in the link section of the blog and the YouTube video. What kind of lights do you normally use?
Just standard desk lamps. Every once in a while, I'll pull in one of my dad's lights, but usually just desk lamps, and they work great.
Do you use any gels or color filters?
Yes. I use a lot of gels, but more recently I've been preferring doing all the color grading in post. Okay. So like, for example, on the Rogue One project, there's a lot of unique lighting there. And I'm sure that they achieve some of it in camera, but a lot of it is just tweaking the colors in post.
Okay.
Part of that just might be my lack of experience in lighting, but I typically get more of the shots I'm looking for when I do it in post.
Well, you did give really good lighting advice in your tutorials about the 3-point lighting. It's one of the more clearer examples I've seen of why you do light things a certain way. So
right.
You definitely got your background there. I'm terrible at lighting, even though lighting is sort of my background for live show production. When it comes to television lighting, I really need to concentrate on that 3-point because I think I just overlight stuff. But do you audio recording? How do you record your voiceovers?
Well, actually, so for some videos, like the Old Republic, those were royalty-free voice recordings that I found online.
Oh, cool.
And then for some of them, I'll just have, like, Kevin will handle his own voice recording. Zach will do the same. I guess when I'm recording it myself, I haven't done that in a long time, but I think I'll just record it into my laptop or, like for the tutorial series, I had a studio, like a audio recording studio space at the university. So.
Not that they're not paying us anything, but I'm a huge fan of the Zoom recorders, the microphone recorders. Those are real cool. I think Zach might have bought one recently. I'm not sure, H2 or something.
Yeah, I think he did
But
sure.
Next model up.
Yeah, it's I love my Zoom recorder. They can send us an extra one if they want, and we'll advertise them.
Yeah, feel free to send on my way too.
And you also have a great voice, by the way. So if we're in need of a voice, not that you are able to upload that too much anymore, but I may just call on you as well. Listening to you and some of the things, I was like, oh, he's got a great voice.
Well, thanks. I've never voice acted before, but I would be very much up for the challenge.
Cool.
Yeah, we did some voice acting yesterday, and I thought it was going to be horrible, but it actually came out all right.
Really? I don't know. I haven't edited it yet.
You haven't edited yet, but we'll see. We'll see. Do you do any creative writing? Either for videos or just kind of as a side project, just for stimulating yourself?
In the past, like in high school, I did some of that, but I don't know. I think college must have turned me off to leisure writing. I don't know.
I'll buy that.
I'd be interested again, especially now that I'm done and off doing my own things, but no, I haven't done that recently.
Yeah, it's one of the things that on our podcast with Forrest, it's like he mentioned this: we're storytellers, and that's what we are first before we're anything else. And that stuck with me a whole bunch when he said that. It's like, yeah, you're right. We are storytellers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I do most of my storytelling in my head, and I just I see it and I'll plan it out, and then I'll just write a bullet point of this is what happens, and I'll just kind of stick with the shots that I see in my mind. Hmm. Definitely not the traditional way of going about it, but.
Do you have any other hobbies or interests, or not really have the time for that now? You have so much stuff going on.
I mean, I do a lot of programming. I've been having a lot of fun putting that into my Lego animations, like Bricker and a couple other programs that are more Lego targeted. Let's see. Other hobbies. Played a lot of volleyball. Love volleyball.
Oh, nice. Of course, now you're moving. Now you're going to be living in a place where weather-wise you can play whenever you want.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I'll have to do that. Hanging out with friends a lot. I'm a pretty social guy, so I spend a lot of time doing that, just talking, relaxing, stuff.
Cool.
Like that.
Cool.
Good.
Cool.
And make sure, I know you said you stayed up later almost all night doing your, not the bricker stuff, but you get your sleep in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a mom talking here, but sleep is important. You got to get your sleep too.
Mom.
No, you're right. I need to hear it.
It is.
Cool. Cool.
It's important.
Oh, and I also was really impressed with your LinkedIn page. Normally, LinkedIn's my least favorite thing to go through, but you did a good job building your LinkedIn page, and I think you had some work you did kind of as a side thing from a kind of a high school job. I think you worked at Chick-fil-A, but you did some other type work with them that wasn't involving food, involved like media or computers.
Right. Yeah. Well, I started. First of all, shout out to Chick-fil-A Vernon Hills. Absolutely wonderful company to work for. Chick-fil-A as a whole, but also the owners there are amazing.
And yummy food. Yummy food.
Right. Exactly. And then I did some web design for them. So I came up with a intranet, which is different from just a standard internet website, where it's specifically for the team members internally. And then I guess I did some work with the HR manager doing cash flow stuff. And
okay. Did you do any video work or at all? Or is it more just kind of computer intro web type stuff?
No, mostly computer work.
Okay, cool. But it's awesome that, this is a job you would have been just doing as a way to get a little bit of money, like a typical high school student, but you got opportunities. So definitely kudos to their corporation for giving you opportunities like that. I think that's really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, they sent me to corporate Chick-fil-A and got to learn a lot of the tips from behind the company. And I was training to be a grand opening trainer.
Cool. Was that down in Georgia?
Opportunity. Yeah, that was, and it was in Atlanta.
Oh, it was in Atlanta. Okay. Before we get out of here, I noticed, and I know this isn't your tripod, but I kind of got all my hair kind of stood up on end when I saw it was David's tripod. You did for the Godzilla. It had like little cranks that you could make adjustments to the tilt. Do you have anything like that, or is that the first time you had an opportunity to work with something like that?
I don't. I have a fluid head tripod, which I would definitely recommend over a typical like wind and unwind type tripod. But his blew me away. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I mean, you had things where you were trying to y'all did make it happen, where it looked like the camera was shaking you, and you were using like this knob on the side of the tripod to actually do tilting, which I got to find out what that tripod is. That was awesome. Do you do any other type of camera movement when you do your stop motion, outside of what you did with David?
Right. I definitely try. I did a lot of camera movement, I believe, in the Old Republic. And that was right after I had watched Fancy Pants tutorial on camera motion, which is really great, by the way. Everyone should check that out. But yeah, I've definitely been trying to incorporate it as I go, but I guess that's not a staple of my animations.
Well, I hope you keep doing brick films and don't get too busy with your career down here in Atlanta. I hope you'll have a little extra time.
So is this a temporary? Are you going to be here for a while, or is this more of a short term?
No, I think I'll probably be there for a while. I love Atlanta as an area. I was just down there, like I told you, I was just down there a few days ago. And it's a really, really nice little place. Yeah, kind of off in the suburbs, but I'm really loving it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Atlanta's wonderful, except during the dead of summer. It gets really hot here.
That's an understatement. That's what I've heard. Pick my dreams. But anyway, you're in a place now. This is like Atlanta's the new Hollywood, so you never know. If you're into, there's always so many, you got the Guardians of the Galaxy and a lot of things. I just saw another casting call for something else that's going on, so, you never know. Get your hand in some of these things here, and you'll take off.
Yeah, definitely could be.
Yeah, great opportunities. But we definitely want to meet up with you, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well.
Just bring a lot of shorts, and cause you really don't need anything but shorts here.
Right.
Even in the winter. Wait, do we have winter? Not really, but
It's like 65 out right now. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Oh man.
Anyway.
So is there if you have any other stories or anything that you would like to bring up? Or anything fun? So
I don't think so. I mean, I would just definitely say thank you guys so much for running Brick Filmers Guild, and I don't know, I've really grown because of the brick filming community, and I just couldn't thank you guys and everyone else that's involved in making the community such a great force of inspiration for all the other budding brick filmers. And my goal is to help contribute to that with my tutorials and behind the scenes and help other people.
You sure do.
You definitely do. And it's nice to see the brick filming community grow. It's a very warm family
for the most part
type. Yeah.
Occasionally there's little things, but for the most part we're all very supportive of each other, and we definitely push each other to get better, and it's nice.
Yeah, it is. It's a wonderful community to be a part of. I love getting to know people. I enjoy the social aspect, and and then Dave enjoys talking to people like you that get to geek out about the stop motion stuff and stuff I don't know.
Filmmaking with Lego.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, it's a wonderful.
Wait, have
outlet.
you ever done worked with clay or anything else, or have you mainly you started with Lego and just stuck with Lego?
I did a Roblox video a while ago, and I worked with a little bit of clay there for some of the background props. Definitely, I prefer Lego. It's a nice start building block, I guess, to start from.
Yeah, right. I would like to try making a brick film with the clay ground to see how that works out. Kind of like some Kevin's original work, and there was another video I saw recently, some samurais fighting, and they were it helped sell the shot.
Yeah, it's a very unique look. I really like it.
Of course, when you can do effects as well as Christopher does, you don't really need any of that.
Oh, thanks.
Fix it in post.
Yeah. Hey, it works though. I mean, you get results like that. It's like, why mess with anything else?
Yeah. Sometimes if you do it a certain way, you don't have to spend 10 hours fixing it. But
no, that's very true.
Cool. Yeah, just sometimes it's better to do it on the front end. Sometimes it's better to do it in post.
Kudos to the amount of patience that you have for both of the. I keep wanting to say blender. It's the
blender add-on.
Right.
Bricker, right?
Bricker, because it's similar. Blender, bricker,
Bricker,
right?
And the stop motion, it takes a lot of patience, which is why I don't animate.
Yeah, and it can get kind of lonely.
Yeah, that too. When Dave was doing the Oyo, it does get lonely. So. Mm-hmm. Has your dad actually done any animated? Has he tried it? Oh, let me, do a little bit of that, or not?
Not in my memory. I don't think he's ever tried it. He's very supportive. Shout out to everyone, if I can for a moment, just shout out to everyone that supported me. Like my parents, my whole family, there's bunch of guys that I knew at my Taylor University college that really supported me, and my girlfriend, really great people.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, that is awesome. It's having the support, especially of your family. That's key. So, and I just think it's really cool that you and your dad get to, have this bonding over this. I mean, I think it's awesome. Makes my heart happy.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Well, I guess we will let you go. It's Friday. You get to kick off your weekend, and good luck with your move here and with your new job. And we will look forward to meeting up with you and having a off camera or off microphone chat.
Yeah, I will too. Thanks so much, and have a great weekend.
Yeah, thanks. We appreciate you being here, and we'll make sure everybody has all of your amazing links, and check out Christopher's work. Definitely worth your time, and like I said, the tutorials are amazing and very helpful, so we'll make sure everybody has all the links to see all your stuff.
Really appreciate it.
Wish you all the best, Christopher, and we'll talk to you soon.
Same to you.
All right, thanks. Bye. All right, bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much to Christopher for spending time with us. We look forward to meeting him in the future. Please check out our sponsors and partners on the Brick Filmers Guild homepage, and don't forget to check out Christopher's amazing brick films on his YouTube channel and his Blender plugins. Links are provided under the YouTube description and also on the podcast blog on the BFG website. We want to give a huge thank you to our Patreon supporters, Spuggastew, Something's Awry Productions, Frame 5 Studios, Mind Game Studios, Dark Dragon Films, Forcefire 101, Sanjira, Spencer Katz, and Paganimation. You guys really inspire us to continue having more of these in-depth conversations with the world's great brick filmers. We really appreciate you supporting our podcasts. If you would like to sponsor one of our podcasts, please contact me through one of our social media sites. The sponsors we have are always brick film related and are products that we use ourselves and highly recommend. We would like to thank Kevin MacLeod for his wonderful music, which we use for our podcasts and in our brick films. If you're listening to this podcast on iTunes, please rate and comment. We'd really appreciate that. So, until next time, bye y'all.